And I'm back on the road again. I can't wait to get into the bush. We're visiting Khutse on this trip, and I haven't been in Khutse for a long while, so I'm quite excited to see how the bush has changed and you know what has happened after the fires from last year. It is 6 o'clock in the morning. It's about 18 degrees Celsius. That's why I've got my jacket on. It seems the winter is getting a bit closer and closer. Can't wait for the winter. It means more camping time. So yeah, Khutse, here we come. It's about a 3.5-4 hours trip from Gaborone, and we'll probably be at Khutse at around 10 o'clock.
Feel it in my bones, I can feel it in my veins. Hands in the sky, I can feel the winds of change. You live and you learn, and I hope I've seen enough.
We drove about 3 to 5 kilometers before we really had to deflate the tires because the road was in a terrible state.
I was down, but things are looking up. I wanna get high on you, caught by surprise by you. Want you to make my
I'm deflating to a 1.6 bar. It just makes the road a little bit more pleasant to drive on, especially when you get these corrugations. The deflated tires make a much smoother ride, so you don't have, think of not having tires that are actually, you know, flexing. Imagine if you would drive on a solid, you know, tire or surface. It compensates when it's a bit softer for the bumps, so that you have a much more comfortable drive. So it's a quick deflate, and as well, deflating your tires on a dirt road like this also reduces the corrugation that you might create or might worsen on the roads. So yeah, there's two pros to it. You make your comfortability on the drive much better, and you don't damage the road as much. So just a quick deflate on all the tires, then we're off again.
stepped on a path that led me straight to you. I was down, but things are looking up. I wanna get high on you, caught by surprise by you. Want you to make my heart feel as much as I know.
So we have finally arrived at Khutse. It is awesome to be back here. I haven't been here in probably a year and a half. We just quickly want to register. If we're done registering, then through that gate we'll be going behind us. And then we're going to spend about 4 days in Khutse. See if we can see the lions. Apparently the lions was seen at Camp Mulusi or by Waterhole Mulusi. So yeah. Hopefully we'll see them lions. Leah, you want to see some lions?
Yes.
And the wild dogs?
Yes. I can spot them from a mile away, so hopefully I'll be able to.
Well, it's going to be awesome, isn't it? It's going to be awesome. So yeah, I think it's about, what, 28 degrees now? 29 degrees Celsius. We had a bit of, you know, storm clouds coming in last night. We are a little bit further from Gaborone, but I can definitely feel the cold creeping in. So I think tonight is not going to be that bad. We're going to have nice weather. And, well, in general, I've never really, you know, been too hot in the tent at night. As long as you pitch your tent early enough when you get at the campsite. You know, after the day's drive and you open up the windows and you just close the gauze nettings, you got more than enough of a, you know, draft coming through the tent. So I don't think I've ever in 3-4 years camping ever had it where you can't sleep at night because of, too hot or whatever. So I think it's going to be nice and cool tonight. Usually around 7 o'clock you can feel the cold night coming in. So yeah, people are usually deterred a little bit, scared of coming to these places, close to the Kalahari or central Botswana. But in general, at night it gets quite cool. So we're gonna have an awesome stay. It's gonna be nice. So I'm quite excited of what we're gonna see. But Khutse usually delivers. It usually delivers, isn't it? So hi to Daddy.
Hi.
Next time you'll come with, Jace. Next time you'll come with. As you enter this park, you'll see a great example of how the indigenous tribes of the Kalahari people used to live. Because they were semi-nomadic, these little huts were easy to build and to break down. And some of them still build these kind of huts, even today. They used to travel and still travel in small family groups, and you might be lucky enough to see them because they still roam these areas in and around the Kalahari. We were very fortunate when one of these little families passed our campsite on one of the occasions visiting Khutse, and the husband asked us very politely if we can approach the campsite asking for some fresh water. He was also very fluent in Setswana, so we could communicate with him, and we asked him to say something in his native language for us.
Untailing. Untailing.
Nakarin ke ora ke re umphile ke itumetse jano o ntsa di nepe ga ke tsuro ta nela 10 pula
Ke ta go nela 10 pula.
You will notice that Botswana's national park entrances have the same appearance. However, it's once you drive through them that you will understand what lies inside is what makes them worlds apart. Khutse is a good example of this. On a previous trip, we found a pack of wild dogs not 5 kilometers from its entrance, where we spent about 20 minutes with them before we had to leave them behind because we simply did not want to set up our camp in the dead of night. It is these types of encounters that will always make me come back to Khutse. Getting to the campsites, you will see that they are very basic. These campsites usually have a bucket shower, pit toilet, a fireplace, and the occasional shade tree. But I do give these campsites an 8 out of 10 for giving you that wild camp feeling while you are in the park. After we finished setting up camp, we spent a relaxing afternoon under our awnings. And as the day came to an end, we were greeted by the sounds of barking geckos, which is hands down one of my most favorite sounds of the Kalahari. woke up quite early. We got permission from the park wardens. It wasn't too early, you know. It was about 10 to 6. The sun was already coming up, but nonetheless we traveled a bit earlier, and yeah, we spotted a brown hyena. It was a quick sighting, but luckily the dash cam could catch it, so it was a sighting, you know, nonetheless. But it was awesome. It was my first time seeing a brown hyena, but yeah, it's still special seeing them. They are super rare. I'm just turning into the pan now. Whoops. There we go. Let's see what we can find by the Malusi watering hole. Hopefully some leopards or lions. Otherwise just, you know, maybe a bunch of elephants, but they're still beautiful. So let's see what we can find there. This was by far the biggest herd of elephants that I've ever seen at the Malusi watering hole. Observing these African giants is always enjoyable, and I find it amazing how social they can be. They communicate with each other by making rumbling noises that create little seismic vibrations. They also communicate by touching and feeling with their trunks. Like I said before, it is always a pleasure to see them and to see how they interact. But there is a drawback to having these gentle giants in the area. By comparing the waterhole from as little as 3 years ago, it is evident that elephants can cause devastating harm to an area that isn't used to having elephants. The area in and around Malusi always had travelling herds of elephants passing through, but it seems like they are now permanent residents of this park.
So sit hom neer en klik weer op hulle. Hy neem nog. Sit hom net vandag neer. We got some, in Afrikaans I know them as rooi hartbees. We've got a female that is in estrus, so we don't want to disturb them, but it's good to see them mating and, you know, multiplying. They are pumping water for the animals, but it's still dry. We had a very dry summer this year in Botswana, but you know, the bush adapts, and the bush just seems to survive. I mean, Khutse had wildfires every single year for the last 3-4 years. So, and even driving around in the bush, you don't see much, you know, evidence of the, you know, bushfires. But it's just amazing to see how Khutse every single year just picks itself up after these devastating fires. I mean, they are raging massive fires. So yeah, Khutse, we enjoy coming to Khutse. We always see something amazing here. So soon we'll be heading back to the campsite, where I think we're gonna braai some fillet. I can't wait for that. I'm quite hungry. I haven't had much to eat today, and pop a little cold one, just sit next to the campfire and soak up the last bits of Khutse, surrounded by the sounds of barking geckos, which is, if you've been to Khutse or to the Kalahari, that is genuine a sound that just welcomes you. Yeah, the next stop is our campsite. It was a hot day, a long day, and yeah, see you guys at the campsite. Our time at Malusi was short-lived because the storm that circled us for the last couple of days opened up right above us. Who knows what we would find back at our campsite. A storm like this can turn your campsite upside down.
Ja, die wind en die gewig van die... Ja, het kan wees.
Getting back to the campsite, it was still raining, but it luckily only rained for about 45 to 50 minutes. So it gave us enough time to be able to pitch the tents before it got too dark, and for us to start a fire and just enjoy the last evening that we had in Khutse.
Zit nou 3 op dan zit van.
Oh, die ketel staan daar zo niet 4.
There is no better way than to kick off the day with an amazing breakfast before hitting the road on our way back home. It's become a tradition now that when we go back home, we pass through the Khutse Pan in the hope to see a last sighting before we have to say goodbye. That's it. Getting to the Khutse Gate marks the end of our trip. If you guys like this episode and you guys want to watch more, please hit the notification bell, like, share, subscribe, and you can join us on the next bucket list trip. Cheers.